As I was a-walking by the banks of the Yuki, listen, kind friends, what I have to relate. Who should I spy there but one of my comrades, dressed up in white flannel, and sad was his fate. The mercury was beating and the limestone was reeking, his tongue all in flames hanging over his chin. A hole in his bosom, his teeth were a-closing. Bad luck-ty the girlie who gave him the glim. Okay, I'm not going to sing more than that because we haven't got time, but what is, you can recognize the tune, can't you? You can hear the streets of Gold. Can't you hear bits of it in there? Gie him the glim. You can tell by the context what that means. The clap, absolutely. And the title gives it away, The Pills of White Mercury. Mercury was used to combat venereal disease. They didn't know which was worse, the medicine or the disease. But absolutely. And look at the second verse, how graphic it is. His tongue, the mercury was beating and the limestone was reeking. His tongue all in flames hanging over his chin. A hole in his bosom, his teeth were a-closing. Bad luck-ty the girlie who gave him the glim. Now in America, you would not find that amount of graphic description. It was tabooed, first of all, to talk about, especially in this region. In New England, it was such a taboo subject you did not talk about. Incest, especially in mixed company. These ballads were sung, like Bourbons, of course, in mixed company all over Scotland and Ireland. There was never any distinction between genders. Everybody sang them, everybody laughed and enjoyed and sang them. There was no taboo about singing them at all. So you had really graphic descriptions of this. You would never have heard that version. And so gradually, the syphilis and venereal disease, the whole aspect of that began to fade out. And as it crossed the there's a version called The Trooper, the sailor cut down in his prime. They took every occupation you can imagine and put them into it. In the Scottish version, it's a very moral ending. You know, the mother says, don't go those flash girls, so this is what will happen. It's all extremely moral. And in the end, he dies. And then in the St. James Infirmary, who's laughing at that? Who's laughing?
Too much of that happens this year.
Yeah, I understand. It was down in old Joe's bar room on the corner by the square. I was sitting at a long white table, so long, so white, so fair. Let her go, God bless her, wherever she may be. I can travel this wide world over, but there'll never be a better gal than she. And so what's happened to it at that point? It's gone where? Pardon?
Gone to the girl now.
That's true. Part of it's gone to the girl, but where has it gone? It's turned into the black tradition has taken it over and has influenced it. Listen to the tune. It's sheer blues. Completely blues. But syphilis has disappeared from that version. And he was cut down in a crap game. The same thing happened when it rolled out west into the streets of Laredo. As I was a-walking the streets of Laredo, I was walking Laredo one day. I spied a young cowboy all dressed in white linen, all dressed in white linen, and cold as the plague. Almost, you can hear it, the Scottish version coming through strongly there. That came through clearly, loud and strong. One of the images that came through in every version was the bit about, at the end of the Scottish version, rose petals are scattered in the grave for different reasons. When it reached America and it reached the streets of Laredo, do you know why they used rose petals to dump into the grave? To soften, yes, the stench was part of it, and to soften the blow of the body, because he was dumped into a pauper's grave. He died in a crack game, and he was tossed into just an open grave and covered under with rose petals. And the roses probably never even grew in that region, because it was supposed to have happened in Tombstone, Arizona. I think it actually did, actually. So I've been to Tombstone a number of times, and I've seen, and there are roses actually that grow there, so it could have happened. But the most interesting version of all, when I was out at Oberlin, I took 1 year at Oberlin before I went out to Montana to live in the 60s. And I was fortunate enough to meet a lady called, I'm allowed one senior moment, just one. God, her name will come to me, it will come to me. She lived in Elyria, Ohio, and she sang me this version, and it just made my eyeballs fall out. I just couldn't believe it. She called it The Unfortunate Break, and she said, I'd like to sing this for you. And by the title, you can't even identify it as this other ballad. So she started singing this. When I was a young girl, I used to seek pleasure. When I was a young girl, I used to seek wine out of the alehouse and into the jailhouse, out of the barroom and into my grave. Come, Mama, come, Papa, and sit you down by me. Come, sit you down by me, and pity my plea. My poor heart is aching, my poor head is breaking, my body's salvating, and I'm bound to die. Salvating means to give off of the fumes. Go send 2 young ladies to send for the doctor to come and stand for me. Go send for the preacher, the doctor to bind up my wounds, and send 2 young ladies to come and stand o'er me. Come stand o'er me as we roll along. One morning, in May, I spied a fair damsel, all dressed in white linen, all dressed in white linen, and cold as the clay. And there you have it. And this is, yes, Jim?